We have reached the regular season finale, and we've been with you the whole journey. Unfortunately, in this episode, we won't have a special guest a little later in the night. So we want to get an episode out because next week's episode will have a double feature of two either players or coaches of the both championship teams. So we'll guarantee you have an Omaha Beef personnel or personality on the show besides Matt on next week, and we'll have someone else from the other team, which could be one of two teams. Let's put that little bracket up on the clinching scenarios. Omaha Beef have it wrapped up. They are the number one overall seed. They are hosting the championship game, and there's only two teams remaining that have a chance. Sioux City does not have a game this week, but they don't control their own destiny. Carolina controls their own destiny. They win, they're in. They lose, Sioux City is in. And can we get round 3 of the I-29 rivalry? Probably. Good chance. But we can also have round 3 of the Cobras versus the Omaha Beef. That's what's on stake this week. And again, I am Jim Renier, the host of Inside the Walls podcast. Alongside me is my partner in crime, host of Prime Cuts. He just did his show. Now he's on our show. Back-to-back episodes here on the network on a busy Thursday night. My co-host, my partner in crime, Matt Patton.
Yeah, Jim, it's a big week this week. You know, we talked a little bit on the coaches show for the Omaha Beef this last week about the scenarios you just talked about, right? It could be I-29 rivalry revisited for the third time this year, or we could see Carolina. And with that scenario, it'd be interesting to see, like, if Carolina does win on Saturday at the Slaughterhouse, they end that what will be 400 or 714-day streak on Saturday. Would they just kind of stick around the Omaha area, or are they going to fly back home for a few days and then come back the following week? Remains to be seen, but something tells me it's going to be I-29 Part 3.
If I'm a traveling agent and if I win this game, and why bother go back to Greensboro? I'll just stay in Omaha. I know there's an arena across the river that's available to practice in this time of year. But again, they got to win this game to guarantee next week. If not, the boys from Sioux City would take that hour and a half drive south.
Yep, about an hour and a half. Yeah, about hour and a half, hour 20, depending on, which way you go.
So depending on traffic, I don't think traffic's that bad for I-29. But again, I've never been on the highway. But there were two big matchups this past weekend. One was one-sided affair from the get, and that was in Sioux City, where the Sioux City Bandits took care of business against the Carolina Cobras, winning 62-35. Sioux City jumped on them early, pulled away. Self-inflicted wounds, penalties, turnovers cost Carolina the game, in my opinion. Key Rouges to start the game got points right off the bat. Really set the momentum for the Sioux City Bandits as they went on to win against the Carolina Cobras. And the other game was the comeback. It was the one-sided affair in the first half by the Colorado Spartans. And in the words of L.A. Knight, Nene, here comes Omaha Beef as they came back and cruise. I think it was, 48 unanswered points there, Matt, before Colorado got a score.
Yeah, something like that. It was something along the lines of like 40, 46 or 48, something like that.
So, two crucial games. Colorado, unfortunately, wasn't in the playoff picture in this game. So, Omaha was basically trying to wrap up home field advantage. They took care of business in Colorado. But the crucial game last week was kind of the semi-play-in game between Carolina and Sioux City. The reason why I say that is because now this week's game in Omaha is so crucial. We do have another game that's being played this weekend. Doesn't really have any implications. It's the final regular season, week 12. It's week 13 this week. Final regular season. A final game of the regular season in Colorado, where the Colorado Spartans host the Idaho Horsemen. The game doesn't really like matter for the championship wise, as both teams are eliminated. But you're looking at Colorado had a second half of the season that was much improved from last year. Not last year, much improved from the first 6 weeks to this week's. And Idaho's been up and down. So let's see if both teams can, finish off the season on a high note, because everyone's going to be paying attention to what's happening in Omaha. That is the final showdown. That is the main game of the week, because if Orlando wins that, no, excuse me, if Carolina wins that, they're in. They lose, they're out. Omaha really doesn't have to do anything, but they're going to win.
Yeah.
They're going to go in there trying to win the game because they have a streak, and I guarantee you, people don't want to talk about this. I know you don't want to talk about it, but when streaks are on the line and there's more days added to the streak, players don't want to say, we just want to focus on this game, want to focus on health. No, particularly in the back of their mind, they want to keep that streak alive. They don't want to lose that streak and go, well, yeah, we won the championship. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome, but that's 7 days. Like, beating Carolina, continuing the streak, builds a lot of drama again for possibility. If the streak continues, that means Sioux City's coming into town next week in a clash of, can the arch rivals from the north dethrone the champs, win the championship, and ruin the streak at the same time. That's like a double. It's like a double feature almost there for Sioux City. But before we can preview next week's game, because we don't know. We know Omaha's there. We don't know who the other two are, but we know the big crucial matchup is in Omaha. Let's talk about this game. To start off week 13 is the Omaha Beef hosting the Carolina Cobras. Matt, what are your early observations and what you think? You were talking about earlier in your show on Prime Cuts, that's on Inside the Walls Network every Thursday or Friday nights. What were you guys talking about previewing this week's game against the Carolina Cobras?
The Carolina Cobras, when we look at that team, first of all, the last time that these two teams met was March 24th, which seems like an eternity ago, right? Like regular season opener for the Beef on the road in week 2 of the season. But, as we've watched the season go, we've seen Carolina kind of have an up and down season so far. Like Guy Myers has been pretty solid all year. I would argue that he's coming off of the worst game of the season as far as like turnovers and things like that from that perspective. But also we know that he's very athletic and he's very agile, and he's going to be the kind of guy who, as we've seen this year with Guy Myers, he's not a guy that wants to sit around in the pocket for a very long time if he doesn't have to. And so he's not going to be afraid to tuck the ball and run down the field. But he's also got some weapons, and Adam Smith, we've had him on the show. We've talked to him multiple times. And we know that their defense is also going to come and play really, really hard as well, with Gibson Zaya, who is, I believe, second in the league in sacks so far this season, and is a former Beef player. I'm sure he's excited to get back to Omaha and see some of the former Beef, some of the fans that he used to play for and whatnot. But this is not a game by any means, though, that I would expect anyone to think that Omaha is going to sleepwalk through. Omaha is well aware of the fact that the last few games they've kind of started slow, and they've had to use a second half surge to come back. And I joked with somebody the other day. I was like, it almost is like this Omaha team are like cyborgs or something. Like they come out in the first half and they kind of, they're not really into it. They're not fully ready to play. And then they go into the locker room at halftime, and it's like they push a button on their shoulder, and they just like that button just energizes them and kicks them up, and they turn into the monsters that they are in the second half. And so, Coach Tatum, I know talking to Coach Tatum on Monday night at the coaches show, he is well aware of what the perception is of the team in the last few weeks. And, he's going to have these guys ready to go. Him and Coach Knight and Coach Terry are going to have these guys ready to go on Saturday night. And I would not expect to see any resting of starters or anything like that, at least not early on in the game. I would expect to see Tommy Armstrong. I would expect to see Jeff Mack. I would expect to see all of the mainstays in the Beef lineup. Now, will they at some point put those guys on the bench? Because, you do have a championship game coming up the next week, potentially. But I would put our second string offense and defense against any team in the league.
Some high words. Carolina, one thing I know about the Carolina organization over the years, when they go through some struggling parts, they play better when their back's up against the wall. They got a lot of dogs on that team that they've been through the fire, they've been through trials and tribulations. James Summers, and Adam Smith, to name a few. One thing I know is about Guy Myers that really didn't really, can you say really affected him last week? It looked like he couldn't settle into the game because he was getting forced out of the pocket. He was getting sacked a lot. He was getting hit a lot. That offensive line needs to step up and probably have maybe their best game of the year this game, or you're going to have the same outcome. That's Sioux City did, for some odd reason, they had a game plan of, I thought, was perfect to neutralize Guy Myers' ability. He, as you know, he's tall, he has an arm, and he's very secretly very mobile. And Sioux City pretty much got rid of that early in the game, maybe because it was one-sided affair on the scoreboard, really get the team behind the eight ball, as you will. But one thing I noticed about that game as I was watching it is that every time Carolina was making a run or trying to make a run, to try and make that comeback, a penalty, a turnover, something bizarre happened. But when you look at Carolina's defense, one thing that I noticed as the game progressed, Sioux City, they were flying around, they were hitting. There was no finesse tackling, because you can see some teams out there that you can tell by their defense performance, are they a really physical team? Are they a finesse team? Sioux City was out there laying wood every position. They were hitting. And a lot of teams that have an offense like Carolina, they like, I don't want to say it's not very explosive. It's a slow build-up. That's Carolina's offense. As it takes time for them to start getting rolling, but once they start getting rolling, they're pretty unstoppable. They're pretty potent. Sioux City knew they had to attack him early, blitz him early, get Myers off his second or third or his first read, and make him read the secondary, and it was successful. This game, Omaha, I guarantee you, Tatum and Knight are going to look at that film and see where the attack Carolina. Carolina, observation, that offensive line needs to play the best game of their season. If not, their season ends in Omaha this weekend. And I can say, I can't, every single game you can mention, what player should be, what player is elite, what player should have a big game, who you think is going to do this. The offensive line, the entire offensive line needs to block for Guy Myers. If they can't block for Myers, Carolina's going to lose this game. Omaha you can say Omaha has no pressure, but at the same time, they kind of do, because do you want to get rid of the streak? Don't worry about the streak. Do you want to win a game and risk your star players getting injured for next week? Or do you want to go out there, play physical, go out there, play Omaha Beef style football, put this game away in the first or the third quarter? Then you can pull players when you know, okay, we're up by this amount of points. I know that you can say, in a safe zone, because this year in the National Arena League, ladies and gentlemen, no team has come back. No team has come back from a 27-point deficit. That's how many points Omaha was behind, 27, and they came back. So got to increase the points there. Yeah. For some odd reason, I have a feeling Carolina's going to be one of those teams where you expect, like, oh, they're going to Omaha. Yeah, Omaha's going to take care of business. They're going to wrap this thing up. Carolina is they're done, right? That's when Carolina's dangerous. Don't turn your back on them. If their offensive line steps up in this game and Guy Myers is being protected, this is going to be a showdown, because we saw the first time they played each other in Carolina, it was a back and forth affair until late in the fourth quarter, until we saw a little bit of separation. And if I remember right about that game, I think there was a crucial interception late in the fourth quarter that made Omaha win that game. Yep. That was coming down to. So if I remember that correctly, that's going to be a key Can someone make a crucial interception at the pivotal time in this game? It's the biggest game of the year for Carolina for sure. Omaha, they're that team. How are they going to do this game? How they're going to play this game? That's how you want to watch. That game is on this Saturday night, June 8th at 7:05 Central Time, 8:05 Eastern Time. But game 2,
I'm sorry, it actually starts at 6:30 Central Time.
6:30 Central Time. So
Yes.
that's my bad getting the bad information.
That's
Sorry, I apologize. I'm fake news. I wrote it down as 8 o'clock Eastern Time. That's my
That's
bad.
okay. 6:30 and 7:30. So
I do apologize.
no worries.
But I can't predict this game. I just have a feeling what team is going to show up for Carolina. That's the one team I'm worried about. Is the team that actually wants to fight, get this season over with, and like pack the bags like, yeah, it was a good run, but whatever? Or is this a team going to go out there and fight and win, and you kind of say backdoor themselves into the to the championship game? But one thing I've known about Carolina, for the history they've been in the National Arena League, they play their best football when people think that they don't have a chance. And from all the media I've seen, or all the podcasts I've seen, and all the Facebook posts I've seen on all the message boards, Carolina does not have a chance in this game. They don't even need to make the trip. Game's over. Let it go. It's not going to happen.
I can assure you that Omaha is spending zero time reading message boards, Facebook posts, or any other silliness that's going on online. Here's the bottom line, guys.
That's a lie, by the way. That's a lie. You know why? Because you're reading the boards, and you're from Omaha.
Right. However, I am not a player on the roster, nor am I on the coaching staff. But here's the reality of the situation.
Are you sure?
100% sure.
Okay,
there have been 7 National Arena League championship games. Out of those 7 games, the Carolina Cobras have been in 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Out of those 4, I'm sorry, they have been in 5 of them, actually, it looks like. 4. No, I'm sorry, 4. 4, I was right the first time. They have been in 4 of them. Out of those 4, they have won 1. And that was the one time that they hosted the championship game in Greensboro at the Greensboro Coliseum. So if you're going to tell me as a fan, an outside observer, that Carolina isn't coming into this game with a ton of stuff to play for and is wanting to get into that championship game to give themselves another shot after last season when they fell to the Jacksonville Sharks in the championship game, then you'd be telling me a lie, because that's crazy talk. I can promise you, we had Coach Negron on last week. He's got his guys ready, and they were ready for Sioux City. And I think it just, the turnovers and the costly things that happened kind of took away their momentum when they were just when they were trying to get it back. And so I really think this is going to be a really, really good contest. It is. You're absolutely right. It's going to come down to whether or not Carolina's offensive line can hold up against the likes of Rudy Gooney, Rodell Rockman, and Zion Farmer up front for the Omaha Beef.
Yeah. Not 1, but 2.
2, right? 2. Yeah. So, anyways, where were we?
I'm just basking in the rings that my organization won over Carolina. But yeah, that
for sure.
Again, that's the joy about our sport. You play 15, 16. The IFL, I think, is doing 18-week seasons, and you get into the postseason. And unfortunately for us this season, we don't have a first round type of style playoffs. But I want to answer a question that I was sent by DM on our Facebook page. A fan asked me about, they love our show. They like how me and you are not serious, that we're very, we laugh and we enjoy. Again, appreciate it. But they asked a question that I didn't want to, make it as a title. But the question is this: based on the NAL right now, who will you? I know you have your Omaha guys. Who would be your starting quarterback and your three receivers. He basically said about fantasy football. Who would be your NAL fantasy football team? Offensive. I'm not going. He has the whole team. I'm going to say just to the three receivers and the quarterback.
Yeah. Wow. So I mean, I think for me, the obvious answer starts and ends with Tommy Armstrong Jr. I mean, the guy's incredible. He can run, he can pass, he does it all. I've watched him over the years, definitely, this year and last year, kind of make his way. Oh, we have somebody else chiming in. I see that. That's great. But yeah, I'm picking Tommy Armstrong every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I guess for receivers, that's a really tough one for me. I would definitely have to say, and Adam Smith is definitely on that list. Adam Smith is an amazing athlete. Watch that guy play all season. Shout out to him. I can't wait to actually watch him live and see what he looks like live in front of me. That's going to be a lot of fun on Saturday. I would say my other choice for receiver would be, again, sorry, but Terry Evans Jr. for the Omaha Beef. One of the all-time best in the indoor football league, guy that is a really, really solid wide receiver. And, I'm really torn. I mean, obviously there's a lot of guys in Omaha's team that I like, but I'm really torn between Stephen Newbold and the name's slipping me, the guy that Flanders from Idaho. I really liked Flanders. I really liked what he did when he played. I liked Flanders because, and Newbold even showed us a little bit too, the kind of the two-way thing. But also I see that there's some comments in here about Fred Bruno. You can't go wrong with Fred Bruno. You can't go wrong with Brandon Mintz, Drew Prohaska, any of those guys. I know Prohaska's more of a running back, but like there are so many good receivers in this league. It's just nuts, the number of guys that we have. And, I think any of them could really make it at the next level if they really wanted to.
Well, Ducon Williams came in here with his receivers. I'm. That's why when you saw my reaction, I'm like, oh, come on, really? Still in my thunder, man. Still in my thunder. Quarterback, of course, Tommy Armstrong. But Whitaker at the end of the season is making me go. He has something there, especially with Stephen Newbold helping him. But Rashad Riley is another guy I like too from Idaho. So that's another guy.
You know what? I think Ridley was the guy I was thinking of.
Ridley,
actually,
yes, yeah.
Now that I think about it, I'm sorry, but Flanders played a little bit of wide receiver, I believe, too.
He still does, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Because they play multiple positions, so yeah.
Yeah, but to piggyback off what you said, like Whitaker is one of those guys who, it's as weird as it sounds, is an MVP candidate from a team that's not even going to make the championship game.
Yeah. Sure. I just know, just from my perspective, as we watched every single game this season, and as we've pushed forward to the championship week next week, and there are some talented players. There were some talented players in Oklahoma this year that they shined when they had a chance to. But you look at Sioux City, like you can name everybody on there. Like you can go all defensive team, and you can basically almost, you got to put Mintz in. That's a guaranteed. Who else are you going to? You're going to have to put Joel Powell for Carolina before he went to the UFL. And then you got a couple of guys in Idaho, got a couple of guys in Omaha that can be on that team. So when you look at the overall season, I know it's a lot of fans go, well, we had 8 teams, we're down to 5, but when all the drama started to, outside drama started to quiet down, when inside, when me and you, part of the league, we were already, focusing on the future, and we started just focusing on football. The games were exciting to watch. There were some lopside scores. Really nothing, like, why am I watching this game? It's a blowout. Like, there were some competitive games. You saw a lot of younger players get opportunities to push forward, like Espinoza in Idaho. When he had his chance to start shining, he looks like he's going to be a guy to watch for the future. Like, they were good based on the performance on the field. There were some games I couldn't turn off YouTube because it was so entertaining. Like, it was back and forth, back and forth. That game last week in Colorado was basically like, I know this is a stupid comparison. It's like watching Tom Brady down 28-3 in the Super Bowl and just watching the Patriots come back because you knew the Patriots were going to come back and win that game because it was freaking Tom Brady in his prime. You were watching that game again in Omaha going, oh, Omaha is going to find a way to come back in this game somehow. And just shattered the NAL record for the biggest comeback in NAL history. And one of the things, appreciate it, Dukon. Love your stuff, by the way, Dukon.
Yeah, Dukon, you are the GOAT, Dukon.
And we were going to play your highlight video here. I know we did it for Prime Cuts, but we don't want to. We'll make the people go to Inside the Walls Network. It's live there. Go click on Facebook, Twitter, social media. Are they the best? I don't know. I don't know. My team's the best.
I'm trying to hold some composure.
My team's the best. Just don't look at the record. Just look at the rings. That's the one thing I gotta say. We got 4. That's good. I'm happy. But for overall, the games, yes, people understand that we do this for fun. We love doing this, and we have some huge Dukon. Why you had to put that in there? Why? Why, Dukon? Why? You know what? I gotta do it, Dukon.
You just made the list.
Yeah, you just made the list, man. Why you gotta remind me, man? No. I'm excited. That's gonna be here in Jackson. We'll have a fun weekend coming up. I love the sport. I'm the type of person that is like, yeah, you're not going to win every single year. There's ups and downs, or ins and flows. Again, it's very entertaining. Like, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to cover this game, have multiple organizations that trust me and you doing this in the league, in the National Marine League. I'm looking forward to the off season. I'm looking forward to what we're going to bring to you guys in the future. There are a lot of things behind the scenes that are, how can I say for myself, is that I can't wait to make announcements on. And it's because of you guys, the support. One of the things I do want to make, one thing I want to say is that you don't understand what goes into this. And covering the game is so exciting. Watching these guys like Fred Bruno, Brandon Mintz, Guy Myers, Adam Smith, James Summers, Tommy Armstrong. Go to an average football fan out there, anywhere. Name those players. They might know Tommy Armstrong because he's Nebraska. And Nebraska is a huge university, but they won't know Adam Smiths and the Brunos, and they won't know those guys. And this podcast, and there's other podcasts that do the same thing, Matt's podcast as well, that we give players in this sport a chance to express their brand, because we all know the ultimate goal in this industry is to get these guys on our organizations playing in the 3-letter league, replace the A, called the NFL. That's their ultimate goal. And you watch guys that, like Cal Turpin, the Dallas Cowboys special teams player, played in indoor football. Fred Jackson, Buffalo Bill, former Buffalo Bill, played in Sioux City. Kurt Warner. That's why I love doing this. I love covering these guys, because eventually, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years down the road, some guy gets on a team, is like, that name sounds familiar. I go look, it's like, holy crap, he played for Sioux City, or he played for Omaha. That's why I love doing this. Yes, I know I might come off as ignorant, or as one of our critics say there, Matt, Jim, your personal account, you think that you're the main character of all the industry. And I was like, no, I'm just a guy who has all the information and know what's happening. And I just like laughing in your face when you guys are completely wrong 99.9% of the time. That's why I'm arrogant, because I just like how you guys dig yourself a grave, and then when stuff happens, Help me. Sorry. But again, this has been a fun season. I can't wait for this weekend. It's going to be some awesome matchup. Carolina has a tradition they're trying to keep, again, the championship game. But for Omaha, what was it, 714 days?
Saturday will be 714.
Okay, Roman Reigns. Okay, don't go 1,200 days. That would be some boring. Put your finger down, man. That'd be some boring seasons if Omaha keeps winning every single week.
Will it?
Oh, for you it won't, but for the fans, it will get. You really want to become the Patriots, don't you? Be the most hated organization. Well, I'll take a. That's right. Jay Gruden.
He's actually being inducted into the Hall of Fame on Saturday.
That's some.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Is he bringing any dudes from Green Bay down?
I don't know that he's actually coming in person. I don't have that information, but I believe he's definitely going to be sending some kind of video or something. I'm not sure.
See, when that happens, you go, "Hey, give me some tickets." Yeah, come on. You came to our place. Let me go to your place. So, like, our building's more historic than Lambeau. Like, come on now. The slaughter. Everyone knows the slaughterhouse. I know we guys share love for the teams out west in the game. Unfortunately, if this was like the NFL final week of the season, everyone always wanted to watch those primetime games, those late 4:00 games, because they have more on the line for the playoffs. And you got the other teams that are usually battling to get a lot of their rookies and get a lot of their new guys in. When you look at this Idaho versus Colorado matchup, one thing I wanted to look at is see if Whitaker and this team, or Colorado, finishes off the season strong, because they, in the second half of the season, even though I know what Omaha's been doing, what Sioux City's been doing, I think they've been one of the most successful teams in the second half of the season, getting everything situated. Their jersey combination is kind of unique at times. Bright blue helmets with black jerseys. That's kind of eye-popping. But overall, I think Colorado. I think this should be, if you examine the Colorado season in the whole entirety, what's happened on the field. I think you can grade the team like at a C+ type of season, because the first couple of weeks it was like they couldn't get out of their own way. They found themselves. Got that win against, I think, was Cedar Rapids when Cedar Rapids came to town, and they turned their season around after that, found their momentum. Stephen Nebo is going to be a name in this league and a big target for other teams in the industry. He makes some ridiculous catches each and every week. I expect that this week too. And on the other side of the field, you have two receivers, Flanders and Ridley, that are just explosive individuals. And I want to see how Idaho, do they go with Espinoza, or does Austin Schaefer step in to finish the season? Because when teams are out of the postseason picture, you really don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to go all in and win this, or will they give guys time to play that didn't have the opportunity to play the last couple of weeks? Both teams, both are mathematically eliminated. Colorado has a chance to finish 500 in conference play, I think it is, if I look at the standings correctly. I could be wrong, because I'm bad with stats sometimes when the stats are not in front of me. Colorado right now in the standings they're going to finish fourth no matter what. A win will get them to 4-5 overall on the season. So yeah, they again going to miss out just a little bit, but they're 500 right now if you base off the two other games they played outside league play. But a win here gets them above that if you count those two games. I just think for Colorado, very impressive in the second half of the season. Finished very strong. I like Whitaker. The three quarterbacks that will be playing this week, Schaefer, Espinoza, and Whitaker. And was it Sandler? Is that the backup for?
If this is true right here, this is
Huh.
an interesting development because he played last year in the CIF and then I believe went up and played in the IFL for a
Canadian?
little bit. Actually, IFL, I think, for a little bit.
Stefan?
Lorenz
Lorenzo?
Steffen, yeah. Yeah, he Lorenzo,
Look at
he
that.
played last
Ducon
season.
dropping some information on us. There you go,
Yeah.
Ducon. See?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you're Mr. Hollywood with all your cool graphics.
I mean, there's another comment, but we probably shouldn't share that one.
We the ones, yeah.
Sorry. Couldn't help it. No, the one thing that we talked about all season, though, Jim, was with Colorado was Coach Shaw, right? I mean, Coach Shaw was kind of the guy, right? I mean, we saw what he did in San Antonio when they were in the National Arena League.
Yeah.
We know that he's very, very good at developing talent.
Colorado's going to be an issue next year. Just going to say that.
Definitely. Yeah, they're going to be a team to watch next year. They're definitely going to be a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot and potentially even a National Arena League championship game.
They're going to be competing for a championship. Yeah,
for sure. I agree, 100%.
Because
everything I've heard, their facilities are amazing.
I look at Colorado and I see a carbon copy of the San Antonio Gunslingers. How they started their first season, they were like the first 6 weeks they were just bad. Like they couldn't, not really bad. Like they had good talented players around them. They just couldn't finish games. And as the season progressed towards the end of the year, and they got a big upset over the Albany Empire at home, all of a sudden it started clicking for them, and they made a run late in that year to try to get to the playoffs. And they were within a game of Jacksonville for the 4 seed that year in the postseason for the NAL. And it came down to a crucial game. They had to win a game in, I think, Albany the last week of the season, and Jacksonville had to beat, I think, Carolina at home to get into the playoffs. Carolina won the game at home, basically mathematically eliminated San Antonio, but San Antonio ran out of the games their first year. The next season, San Antonio started the season off 6-1 and made the playoffs and lost to Carolina in the first round. So that was complete reversal from the previous season. When I look at Colorado's organization, I just see an organization that's this carbon copy of the San Antonio Gunslingers from a few years ago. When I look at Idaho, and I look at a championship organization in Idaho, they won back-to-back titles in the AWFC. This is unfamiliar territory for them. They're usually winning, dominating, and winning championships. This year, they win. They get what was the standings I just said? If they win, they finish the season 2-6, 4-6 overall, with their 2 wins over the non-league teams. That's not Idaho football. They're not used to that. I expect them to. That transition to the NAL got them, I guarantee it, like how certain teams are from transition from the NAL to the IFL last season with the Sharks in San Antonio, the transition there. I look at Idaho, I go, and Idaho is the type of they have talent. I like their quarterbacks. I like their receivers. And they played they took teams toe to toe this year. They took Omaha down to the wire. They took Sioux City down the wire. They took Carolina down the wire twice. And I think they split against Colorado. This would be if Colorado wins, Colorado it's a split. So they're there. I just look at Idaho and go, man, if they can stay. The problem with Idaho this year was they couldn't stay consistent at quarterback. Their quarterback was a round table of here, you go next. No, you go next. No, here, go next. That doesn't help build organized teams. You can't win with a turntable at quarterback. We see that in college football. We see that in the NFL. We see that in any arena door or any type of level of football. If your quarterback position is a constant turntable. What do they say in the office? How the turntables or tables have turned or something like that. You're not going to win championships. And they have talented receivers all over that team that are from that region. So I highly expect them to be back next year. If they get like an Espinosa or a Lorenzo Steffen or Austin Schaefer back and get them healthy and stay healthy next season, they can be a threat too. Again, how the season progressed, Idaho, they were just up and down, up and down, up and down. And when you think they're about to get off, turn for the good, they get smacked by somebody. They just have a bad game. But I see potential in Idaho. I think they're a team next year that will be toying with that postseason positioning next season. And I think Colorado with Coach Shaw, they're going to be forced next year because if you follow the same tendencies from last year, I think Colorado is going to be a threat next season. Yep. But this game, this weekend, I just want to see younger guys get more opportunities to get playing time, to get more time experience, probably a chance to show what they have for an opportunity at going to another team next year, or even staying there in Colorado or Idaho, or guaranteed positions for next year. It's very hard to judge what a team will do when the season's over and they're playing against a team that's also playing their last 60 minutes. I expect both teams to go out there, play hard 60 minutes at the end of the season, even though they don't have any postseason positions available next week, as it only comes down to 3 teams. One's at home right now. They're waiting the outcome. And again, that team is the Sioux City Bandits, and that is the playoff or championship scenario. The Omaha Beef have clinched home field advantage for the championship game. Carolina is in with a win. Sioux City is in with a Carolina loss. That's simple math. That's what happens. Win and you're in, lose and you're gone. Sometimes, even how much we love football and talking about football, it comes down to one win. It's going to be a clash in Omaha. Does the streak stay alive? Does Carolina get in? Or do we get a rematch next week against the Omaha Beef and the Sioux City Bandits? The war on I-29 round 3. The last 2 games have been quite entertaining. And next week, if that is a battle between the 2 arch rivals, the longest rivalry in the sport, the streak versus the rival, be a lot of talking trash if the rival knocks off and ends the streak. Just saying there, Matt. But if Carolina wins, we'll get Carolina versus Omaha round 3 next weekend. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a double feature. We will have a member of the Omaha Beef, personality, player, coach, maybe both, because this is championship week. We might even give you a surprise episode, standalone episode, maybe on Saturday, have it play on Saturday for the game day preview. We might do that. Maybe do how I do it inside the Sharks. I'll tell Matt how we do that behind the scenes, where we interview the players and the coaches for the whole entire show, previewing the game, and then we break down the game on the Saturday early show, maybe play it live right before the kickoff. If you guys agree with that, send a comment. Let us know if you want a NAL championship game pregame show on Saturday right before the game with me and Matt breaking down the games, and we have the interviews of the players and the coaches on Thursday night, same at our normal time, 9 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. Matt?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a blast. Don't forget to go, fans of the National Arena League, and vote for the Mascot of the Year competition on the National Arena League Facebook page and the National Arena League website. So make sure you go do that tonight or anytime over the next couple of weeks. Vote for your favorite mascot for the league. I'm looking forward to these last couple of weeks of the season, this last week, and then of course the championship game on June 15th here in Omaha, Nebraska. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm just looking forward to bringing the fans some more content.
It's going to be a busy week next week in Omaha. You got the hosting the championship game, and a few miles down the street, you'll have 8 college baseball teams in town for the College World Series. So that's going to be interesting. It's be unique. With that, ladies and gentlemen, 2 things. Well, not really 2 things. Are you ready? We're here. Final week of the season is here. And Matt's he's excited. What am I doing? Like, I can just leave now. I won't do that. Enjoy your How you did that just got me off guard. Well, the last two things: follow us on all social media platforms at NWallsPod, at NWalls Network. Follow us on NationalArenaLeague.com. We're on the right side of the screen when you look up. It's our show. And then Ducon's Around the NAL is right below us. Again, the best show is on top as usual. Uh, just saying. No.
We love you though, Ducon.
Yeah, he knows that. It's just a funny game. Ducon's Around NAL. His last episode is up on Inside the Walls Network, previewing last week's, not previewing, but recapping last week's show. I think he has another episode coming up pretty soon, previewing this week's show. So, any final words there, Matt? Or we already said your final words. Did I already do that?
No. Yeah, you kind of did. It's okay. You know what? Tune in this week. Tune into both games if you can. Enjoy some indoor football. It's gonna be a great time to be a National Arena League fan.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us till right now, appreciate it. We love the support. This show has been popping on all social media platforms. I really do appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, because we might have some big announcements coming in the future from this network and this show. And also remember, for up-to-date National Arena League news, visit nationalarenaleague.com or follow us on Facebook at National Arena League, or follow us, the podcast, because usually when we say something, 99.9999999%. Not really. It's usually 100% accurate, because if I get information, say something, it comes from reliable sources. So I just like to say no in German, 99999. But anyways, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode 148. Gee, it's just been a long season. But one thing we know about the indoor and arena game, ladies and gentlemen, there is no off season. Next week's a championship game, and it's the off season. And we still keep going, still keep pushing. And we'll still be here for you. Maybe not weekly episodes, but we'll still be here with some episodes throughout the season, with special guests throughout the National Arena League and all the organizations. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is Matt Patton, and I am Jim Mernier. This has been episode 148 of Inside the Walls podcast. I hope everyone has a blessed day. Be safe. Enjoy your time in the slaughterhouse there, Omaha beef fans. And to the people in Colorado and Idaho who are watching this game, go attend the games tonight or this weekend. Support your organizations. This is the final regular season game, because next week it's only one game and it's in Omaha. Again, support the brand, support the sport, support the league, because without you, we don't exist. And without you guys, we don't have the game that we love here in the National Arena League. Again, that's Matt. I'm Jim. This has been episode 148. We'll see you guys. Possibly a double feature next week, because it's championship week next week. So we got to do it. We'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully everyone has a beautiful weekend. Be safe. We'll see you next week.